Once again, it's time to cross the tracks and venture into the Turner Classic Movies underworld. I'm your docent in the dark, Eddie Muller, welcoming you to another trip through Noir Alley. Now, plenty of films are based on the notion of people being in the wrong place at the wrong time and accidentally seeing something they shouldn't. It's a staple of suspense films. But it's a little different when the protagonist sees something they shouldn't and keeps watching, night in and night out. That's not an accident. It's voyeurism. And for some inexplicable reason, it was a prominent premise for films in 1954. There was the Barbara Stanwyck thriller Witness to Murder, distributed by United Artists. And of course, there was Alfred Hitchcock's classic Rear Window from Paramount. Surreptitious surveillance is also at the core of today's film, Pushover, a trim and tidy 1954 offering from Columbia Pictures, in which the unwitting objects of the creepy voyeurism are two of the biggest bombshells of the 1950s, Kim Novak and Dorothy Malone. Pushover, in fact, is the film in which studio boss Harry Cohn introduced Kim Novak, launching her, sometimes against her will, into the stratosphere of superstardom.
Your place or mine?
Surprise me.
Pushover is also the rare film based on two novels, both by veteran crime writers, The Night Watch by Thomas Walsh and Rafferty by Bill Ballinger. Walsh's book provided the setup. A trio of cops stake out the apartment of a suspected bank robber. One of these guys, in classic noir fashion, decides that robbing the robber would be not only poetic justice, but a nice alternative to years of dangerous duty for lousy pay. But it's Ballinger's novel that brings in the compelling idea of a cop falling for a gangster's woman. Streamlining the two tales into a seamless narrative is screenwriter Roy Huggins, a genius at terse exposition and snappy dialogue. This is one of the last feature scripts Huggins would write before turning his attention to the small screen, where he became one of the most influential writers and producers in the history of television, creating hit shows like 77 Sunset Strip, Maverick, The Fugitive, and The Rockford Files. Huggins turns this film, which was made under the title The Killer Wore a Badge, into one of the best dirty cop films of the era. And yes, that was a prominent subset of the crime genre. As one of the stars of today's movie said 10 years earlier, in perhaps the definitive film noir, I did it for the money, and I did it for a woman. And I didn't get the money, and I didn't get the woman. Frankly, it's surprising a film this good isn't more well known, especially since it introduced one of the most popular stars of the 50s in a role tailored literally to exploit her sex appeal. Critics at the time sure didn't miss it. Pushover got reviews about as good as an 80-minute genre picture could hope for in those days. And Kim Novak, who was only a 20-year-old neophyte, impressed reviewers with her unique blend of blatant carnality and surprising vulnerability. It's a compelling combination, one that pretty much defined Novak's screen persona, as well as her life off-screen. If you've seen Kim's legendary 2012 interview with Robert Osborne, you know what I mean. From the day she told Harry Cohn they could change her first name, but not her last, he wanted to rename Marilyn Novak Kit Marlowe, the actress battled to be herself, even as one man after another tried to make her into an object of his desire. She's also an unusually sensitive soul, one who suffered a lot from wearing a big heart right out there on her sleeve. She had virtually no acting experience when she made this movie. But it doesn't matter. Kim Novak is one of those rare performers whose essence burns directly into the film. As she takes her first steps into this dark terrain, co-star Fred MacMurray bids adieu to noir. Double Indemnity had shown he could play more than lightweight comedy, but it wasn't until he'd aged into the kind of man he plays in Pushover that MacMurray solidified his reputation as a dramatic actor.
Harry's gonna die no matter what we do. So what difference will it make if he shows up and he's killed?
Perfect setup for a cop, wouldn't it? I could knock him off, hide the money, and call the meat wagon. No questions asked.
Think what that money could mean to us, Paul. To you and me.
And I thought I was using you.
A month before Pushover premiered, audiences saw MacMurray in The Caine Mutiny, and there were more great roles to come. There's Always Tomorrow and The Apartment, not to mention Son of Flubber, and of course, My Three Sons. If Chip and Ernie had seen their dad in this film getting his fuse lit by a sex bomb, well, those boys would have grown up a whole lot faster. By 1954, Noir's classic look was fading away, and the streets of Dark City were being lightened up for future sales to television. But cinematographer Lester White, he didn't get the memo. He'd spent most of the 40s shooting Andy Hardy movies over at MGM, but given a chance by director Richard Quine to shoot an all-out film noir, White outdid himself. It's dark, it's desperate, and it's sexy in the most inappropriate ways. It's also one of the best noir films of the 1950s. Here's Pushover.